I just wanted my own way. This comfort zone I'm in, but we turn it today. Excuses that I make, yeah, we turn it away. Fortune favors the bold, but I'm arrogant today. I said I'm arrogant today. If it ain't making me no money, then get it out my face. Gotta get the ebook published, yeah, that shit's on the way. Girls call my name, saying they wanna see Tay play. Think she want me to stay. You're missing the bag. Forget all the hopes and the dreams that you had. There's more on your plate. The women could wait. It gotta be clean so they know that you wait. When you get in the fast, then you got a stash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash.
Before we get started, hold up, guys. Let me go find my glasses real quickly. Just gotta start that over because that was the wrong version of the song. Let me get my glasses.
I just wanted my own way. This comfort zone I'm in, but we turn it today. Excuses that I make, yeah, we turn it away. Fortune favors the bold, but I'm arrogant today. I said I'm arrogant today. If it ain't making me no money, then get it out my face. Gotta get the ebook published, yeah, that shit's on the way. Girls call my name, saying they wanna see Tay play. Think she want me to stay. You're missing the bag. Forget all the hopes and the dreams that you had. There's more on your plate. The women could wait. It gotta be clean so they know that you wait. When you get in the fast, then you got a stash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash. Invest in the breast so you double your cash.
All right. How you beautiful people doing this excellent Wednesday night?
I'm making the cost, the boss of your boss, level setting like the game is too hard. We taking over, no Ray Liotta. I'm a good fella, but I may smoke it. All in like I'm playing poker. All the flex, but I ain't a joker. Laugh now, you can cry later. I'm the type of clown that'll violate it. Not talking sex, it's a verbal check. Is this mic on you? You heard what's next. I was getting dumb head in the shower. We shagging later like it's awesome powers. I lean a bitch.
There we go.
I lean a bitch. I get more power. I just wanted my own way. This comfort zone I'm in, but we turn it today. Excuses that I make, yeah, we turn it away. Fortune favors the bold, but I'm arrogant today. I said I'm arrogant today. No stand on me. Accomplishment is my
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? We got Ig in the chat. We got Ig in the chat. We got Karibo in the chat. Missed it, man. Hey, what's good, Shinigami? Have you done any off-screen reading? No, bro. Karibo, I've been strictly studying for this Security Plus. I'm actually taking it this weekend, guys. So wish me luck on that. Taking the Security Plus this weekend. But no, I haven't had a lot of chances to do any reading off of screen. That's JJK. That's One Piece stuff. That's New Age Exorcist stuff, Boruto, Naruto. The only things I've had a chance to like read, not gonna lie, is just kind of Bleach stuff, and that's only because the video that I'm making is about the Bleach's power system. But I don't really count that as like reading. That's more reading for research, not really reading, to like get an understanding of anything. That's more so for research. But yeah, bro, so I wanted to watch a few of the videos that people have been wanting me to watch. Now, I know for sure we have to get up with the good brother Eon, because, he has the Getsuga Tensho move, whatever. So I got to watch that. I know there's something Kai wanted me to watch. Luna Ursa wanted me to watch something too. Actually, I don't think I need the glasses tonight. We'll be good. We'll be good. But yeah, so that's what we got going on tonight. Just going to be watching basically the videos that people wanted me to watch that I couldn't watch because I was either too busy or literally just not available for whatever reason. But how have you guys been doing? Ig, Karibo, Shinigami? How have you guys been doing? That is really loud. Good luck, my man. Hey, appreciate y'all, bro. Appreciate y'all. Been studying hard. Now it's time to put all that work and practice and effort to use. It's time to perform. That's the next stage about it. It's time to perform. Sick. Literally sick. Damn, bro. What you come down with? You got a cold or something? Wondering if I should go to college for real, but I want to make some part into college work. Shinigami, wait, how old are you, Shinigami? Are you not in the working world? How old are you, bro? Because I could have sworn, I thought my audience was 25 and up. $23. Okay. Gotcha. Dang, man, you young. To quote Frieza. That is a lot. New Year's Exorcist is in a new arc, and we are about to fight another Hayo. Nice. I want to see your results of your labor, i.e. your studying. So pass the test with at least a 95%. I'm going to do my best, bro. I got you. I'm going to do my best. Hello, monkeys. What's good, Rotar? How you doing, Max? I'm 22. I'm 23 too. A fresh 23. Dang, man, y'all youngins, bro. When I check my analytics, it don't got no one in the 20, no one younger than 25. That's interesting. All right, real quick. Where'd she put those videos? Not this one. All right, could Hiei defeat them all? I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to watch this, actually. It was asked, no charity given to Hiei speed. Lame. Yeah, I think I can skip that. Pretty sure I can skip that. Ah, here we go. Itachi with Flying Thunder God versus Minato with Mangekyo Sharingan. That's interesting. I'm turning 26. I'm 26, turning 27 in April. We got to take care of our unks. Facts. We got so many unks in the chat. No bullshit. No bullshit, bro. But Rotar's birthday is in April. Nice. Let me see real quickly. Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think we'll start with this Itachi Flying Thunder God video, and then I'll give my thoughts on this, and then we can kind of just move on from there and stuff. That Hiei video was asked, by the way. He downplayed the living hell out of Hiei. I believe it. If Ursa's saying it was lame, then I can trust it, because she has pretty good judgment for these things as well. So yeah, we won't be watching that. I don't think there's any need to watch it.
All right, look. Hold up.
Let's go on YouTube. Let's do it right now. Don't disrespect me.
Do you really? First up, we've got shake video masks. You can use different shapes to create completely different vibes and aesthetics. Or you can create.
Oh, this is Mugetsu. Okay. I was wondering. I was like, yo. I was like, who is Rotar, and why is he acting like he's been in my chat for like months in years now? But okay, it's Zach. Got you. What's good? What's good, Zach? How you doing, Mugetsu? Yeah, YouTube. I don't know what YouTube did. They went to this whole reversion thing, and now it's everyone's either old things or their profile, their like profile usernames. I don't know. Fucking weird. But let's start with this video. 24 minutes. Goddamn, this is pretty long. We'll see how it goes.
What's going on, guys?
I want to get through a lot of them, so we're just gonna go right into it. If anyone comes in while I'm watching it, they'll just have to catch up later.
It's TG or Thunder God here.
Let me know the volume.
Talking about the big boy topics. We are taking Minato with the.
How's the volume for you guys? How's the volume? I apologize about the dishwasher in the back, but how's the volume for you guys? How are we looking on volume? I think they did it to combat impersonation scams. Okay, interesting. I didn't know that was going on YouTube, honestly, but okay. Thunder God is more of an analysis/theory type of channel. Okay. So he's not... Okay, gotcha. More analysis, more theory. What the hell is a dishwasher? Shinigami's a country bumpkin. A dishwasher, my friend, is a machine that when you put the dishes into it and you pick like a little Tide or a soap pod thingy, and you put that in the machine with the dishes, and then you hit the button, it'll wash all your dishes for you in about 30 minutes, give or take. It'll rinse them, clean them, dry them, spin them through, cycle them. It's like a car washer for dishes, though. We got John the Maven in the chat. How you doing, John? Wait, can you start over? JK like shit. But yeah. So he's more of a theory channel, so cool. I won't be holding him to too high a standard. But let's get started. See how this goes. Is the volume good, guys? I don't know. Is the volume good? Could y'all hear okay? Yes, basically Shinigami, which you can already do with your hands. But you see, the dishwasher offers convenience. So you don't have to do it with your hands. Now, how about that?
Mangekyo Sharingan versus.
How you doing, John? I'm good, bro. I'm good. I take my test this Saturday. I feel like I'm really prepared. Been studying a lot. Been studying hard. Wish me luck. But other than that, bro, I'm good. I can't wait to like get back into some type of fucking schedule after this, because all my time has literally just been dedicated to coming home, studying, maybe writing a little bit to the script, maybe. But it's mainly just been coming home studying this, coming home studying that. So after this test, I'll be able to like hopefully get back into some type of rhythm where we can do streams at least 2 to 3 times a week. We'll see.
A technique. With me, I got Virtue.
Sounds amazing. Okay, cool.
That's what we are doing. It's good to be back. Good to be back on the channel. You know what I mean? I know you guys have missed me, so comment if you have. Probably not.
I didn't miss
But this is a good discussion. This is a good discussion.
It's all right. To keep things rational, we're going to make it as the following. Itachi gets to keep his base Sharingan, but gets all of Minato's FTG variations in Level 1, Level 2, Guiding Thunder, Flash House, Stage 3. You get the idea. Minato loses FTG, but gains the Mangekyo Sharingan in Amaterasu, Tsukiyomi, and Susanoo. We'll give him the spirit weapons for the sake of discussion. In our opinion, it doesn't really change too much whether he has them or doesn't, as a lot of Itachi's win conditions here aren't contingent on him dealing with the spirit weapons directly. Starting off, do you want to give a little just brief summary on these two and how this could be an interesting conversation, especially with their lore stat-wise?
Yeah. I mean, so you can go either way on who you think's, far above the other, whatever. And we'll get into the super niche disparities as they become relevant later on. But what I would probably note here is in chapter 238, the synopsis is that Minato has unrivaled strength. And we know that, this means he's above Itachi.
Gotcha, Kuribo.
Itachi hasn't really revealed anything, and this is stated by Kakashi, who actually implies that Itachi hasn't revealed anything beyond his suppressed Anbu days and he also has question marks all over his data book pages, so we don't really know anything here, except this is consistent with Hiruzen's remarks that like Minato would be above Orochimaru had he been alive. We know Orochimaru concedes that a 3-Tomoe Itachi, which is what we're taking here, is above Orochimaru, so they're kind of in a similar pay grade with their opponents. We know they both have rivalries with Obito, with Itachi considered to be like a rival to him when he was younger, and then he gets, you know, stronger later. Minato obviously fights Obito and beats him up, so you can kind of take either one you want, but we're going to get into that a little bit more later. But let's just go with the fact that they're kind of in the same tax bracket here.
Yeah, talked about with similar characters. It doesn't, we're not going to get super into the scaling just at this moment. We'll get into them, becomes more relevant. Now, starting with Itachi, he has a good amount in his bag with his regular Sharingan. He has the demonic illusion shackling stakes technique, which he used against Orochimaru earlier on, actually convincing the Sannin that he is just stronger than him and forcing the Sannin to go after Sasuke himself, along with having more esoteric genjutsu in Ephemeral, which is the finger genjutsu that he uses against Naruto with this 30% clone. On top of this, and speaking of clones, he has a pretty deep bag with shadow clones, such as his exploding shadow clones, as we saw showcased in part 1, or just his regular crow clones, which he usually uses to feint the opponent in. Couple this with his fire style, and Itachi's a very loose fighter in the sense that he's kind of hard to get around. In his fire style, fireball jutsu, or phoenix flower, the 10th anniversary guide, for example, noting Itachi's fire style has the highest among the fire style in terms of heat, so there is quite a bit of lore to Itachi's fire style, painting it as pretty impressive. Not just stopping at his fire style, Itachi does have a pretty decent water style bag as well. He has the water release water fang blood as we see in part 1 against Itachi.
The light speed
water style
bullets.
dragon missile, which he showcases in the Izanami loop. Now, while I know that is the Izanami loop, I'm of the opinion that everything that happens in the loop is probably accurate to the original world, in the sense that Itachi should be able to perform this similar type of technique. Not a huge deal if you disagree, just throwing it out. And his insane shuriken play, which he...
Can you please boost the audio, video a little? I'll do my best. Let me see what I can do for you, bro. Yes, sorry. Again, this is not my fault. This is OBS this time. Let me see if I can fix that, though. I think I have it on, what, 500? Yeah, we'll go to 700. Or we'll go to 650. That's too high, too. Fuck it, we'll go to 700. We'll see how that does. Alright. I'm going to go back a little bit.
incorporates with all...
Yeah, about 30 seconds, I'm going to go back.
Itachi's fire style has the highest among the fire style in terms of heat, so there is quite a bit of lore to Itachi's fire style.
I'm going to go up a
painting
little
it
bit
as
more.
Pretty impressive. Not just stopping at his fire style, Itachi does have a pretty decent...
I'm going to go up a little bit more. Because being on the receiving end, I hate not being able to hear the audio. So when I go back, I want to be able to hear it too. We're going to go to 800. It's okay.
water style bag as well. He has the water release water fang blood as we see in part 1 against Itachi, or we see the water style dragon missile, which he showcases in the Izanami loop.
All right, I'm just going to go to 1,000 or 900. Let me do that because I can't really tell if it's good for you or not, John. Let me just do it though. All right. That should be good.
Now, while I know that is the Izanami loop, I'm of the opinion that everything that happens in the loop is probably accurate to the original world, in the sense that Itachi should be able to perform this similar type of technique. Not a huge deal if you disagree, just throwing it out. And his insane shuriken play, which he incorporates with all of this, whether combining it with his fire style, clones, or genjutsu, making him an overall lethal fighter. When you mix in Itachi of all people keeping his Sharingan and now having access to Flying Thunder God, he becomes much more of a lethal opponent. Do you have anything you want to add to Itachi in this section?
Nah, I mean, I think you covered it with a lot of his strats. Like, in terms of like what he's gonna mainly be using, it's like, yes, we're granting them the regular Sharingan, but since we're also giving Minato his MS, we're not gonna sit here and be like, well, the 3-Tomoe demonic illusion, you know, like a heavy Sasuke level genjutsu is going to just be shattering through the MS or anything like that. So I think it's more so like the exploding clones and the other jutsu that could be capitalized on through the FTG is kind of what I would note here with Itachi.
Yeah.
But I think the Minato stuff is a bit more sauced up to be real. Nah, okay, so like Minato, his main thing, right, is always going to be his speed. And while you're usually attributing...
Here's the thing. I can't even imagine Minato fighting without his Flying Thunder God. It's really hard for me to even conceptualize this man being effective without the Flying Thunder God. They're giving him all of Itachi's moves, but we only know him as a fighter that fights with high mobility. He doesn't have the high mobility. He still has his IQ, he still has his planning and stuff like that, sure. But we only know what that looks like in combination with his high mobility. At least that's me. That's where I'm at with it. I don't know.
This to the Flying Raijin, this isn't really true, at least in its entirety, right? As we know that his body flicker was also what he's using to perform most of his speed feats. Now, it doesn't get him a lot of his recognition in the Third War, but like, for example, Killer B recognizes that technique as something Minato used at the start of matches, which is also something to note for how gun-ho he is, you know, using crazy abilities at the start of fights, really trying to end it quick, that sort of thing. But his raw speed, right, in terms of body flicker, can react to the full Nine Tails, which is way larger than the one that's used in the KCM2 avatar, and is actually stated to be basically like a wood golem level threat, okay? And so now you're like, alright, yeah, you know, Minato with his speed advantage is pretty cracked, but now he gets his own Susanoo. It gets a bit odd, you know what I mean? And he also should have the spirit weapons, which basically make this Susanoo like the greatest, you know, ocular ability according to Data Book 3, that sort of thing, which also would be like superior to like Pain's animal summons, the shared vision, the Ashura Path, bazooka missile, you know, things like that, right? Pretty basic stuff.
Making Itachi invincible as a combatant, you know?
Exactly,
just like,
yeah, makes him invincible, right. Like, it could even be above like Kakashi's Kamui, right? So we're kind of adding this on to Minato. Now, he also, his real big bag in terms of his typical ninjutsu, so like where Itachi would specialize in fire style and then maybe dabble in some other nature releases, Minato specializes in sealing. So we know obviously he has the Reaper Death Seal, and he uses this to kind of split the Nine Tails, but one thing people, you know, have brought up before is that Kushina thinks that he doesn't need the Reaper Death to seal the Nine Tails, and this is true. He has the Tetragram Seal, something stated to be beyond Killer Bee's Steel Shell Seal, stuff like that, kind of the highest seal in the world according to Orochimaru. And he also has the Separation Seal, which has many more rings and signs than like Hashirama's in the Storm games, if you really want to take it that far. But more importantly, Kushina actually has a statement in the Minato Gaiden one-shot where she says basically, Minato, you haven't learned every Uzumaki's silly ninjutsu yet, why don't you want to train today? So this kind of implies that like she either knows them all or that Minato could at least have the presumption that he has learned them all, which kind of goes to show how many sealing ninjutsu he really has in his bag and why he doesn't just have what we see of him, if that makes sense. So his sealing ninjutsu is kind of going to be like his big win con outside of some of these possible MS techniques. And do you want to get into how these MS techniques would kind of work with his gun-ho styles?
Can someone break down to me? So, like, the sealing jutsus that they're talking about for Minato, what are they sealing? Do they seal chakra? Do they seal chakra natures? Do they seal combat What do they seal exactly? Because I really don't know. Like, when people talk about Minato and sealing, I'm going to need more than, oh, he knows the Uzumaki sealing jutsus. What does he know? What do they do? Yeah,
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
hold up. Ab-Stract, check DMs, trust Onk. I got you, bro. I'm going to look at it after.
Yeah, so generally when looking at the Uchiha in MS, it's noted in Sasuke Jin Raiden that when you awaken the MS, it's very intrinsic, kind of similar to a baby fish knowing how to swim despite never being told. So when you're able to use it, you just kind of understand it. In Minato's case, it isn't a direct one-to-one, at least in my opinion, since he's not an Uchiha, as differences have been outlined before with Uchiha and non-Uchiha using the Sharingan, namely in the case of Kakashi, who actually takes quite a bit of a stamina toll from using his Sharingan and Mangekyo Sharingan respectively. So in Minato's case, him being a non-Uchiha means this will cause stamina problems, which more so is due to the fact that he just doesn't have the Uchiha body. Unless we're assuming that for whatever reason he's like a War Art Kakashi like level combatant in terms of being able to use his MS, more often than not he's not going to be able to spam the Mangekyo Sharingan to the same extent that a natural user would, or it would just have much more severe repercussions for him. So while you could make the case that, oh, he's getting stronger abilities than Itachi in this situation, he's also getting way more repercussions for his abilities, whereas Itachi doesn't really lose anything from getting the FTG. It just kind of gets slotted in, whereas Minato, there is a pro and con to his abilities. So this does make a bit of difference. However, when you talk about Itachi and Minato's intellect, it does make this fight a lot more interesting in that both of these are very battle savvy combatants, and they do have a lot to offer when discussing general fights between them.
Yeah, so I think it's a bit interesting, right? So we have a pretty good metric in terms of how they compare, at least whenever they're younger, right? Because we know that Minato actually has the highest written exam scores ever. And then we know that Itachi, I believe, places second on that, but he also goes on to basically surpass Minato, going through the Forest of Death, basically, I believe, alone, and he also sets the first place record. So it kind of goes into like, well, maybe you could say Minato has like raw intellect, you know, that's superior to Itachi's, but Itachi might have better like applied intellect in terms of like, is it better to know more techniques or be better at using more specific techniques in, you know, practice and whatnot. So it kind of goes into like what you want to say for the intellect, but I think that's a pretty good metric. Although if you really want to go like high end to high end, maybe you could allude to Itachi have some higher ends, kind of being like a genius with the Obito plan, stuff like that. And that seems to be more of a high level than whatever Minato's doing. Like, you know, the best thing you could do for Minato is possibly imply some, like, superiority over the same Kakashi who kind of scoffs at Shikamaru's 200 IQ as a child and that sort of thing. So, you know, you could put numbers on Minato that way, maybe favor him there. But I think in terms of, like, intellect, it's not as though, like, Itachi's gonna big brain Bolo, you know, dumb Minato or anything like that, or vice versa. And
I think the two are just very comparable, like,
right,
it's
yeah,
very...
no, exactly.
It kind of goes round and round, so I think it's just easier for this discussion to say, like, it's...
Don't compromise quality insurance for savings or your time for this ad. Hit that skip button, or don't, and watch me.
It's going to be a relatively even match, or the two are comparable, you know?
Right.
Now, discussing this fight, getting into the actual meat of the discussion, how does it go? Well, I think the most prudent thing to do is discuss the possible combinations between these two, which is, it's gotta, let's start with Itachi and some of the combinations he could come up with. Starting off, he's gonna have the Sharingan's kinetic vision and natural ability to see upcoming attacks based on physical movement, kinetic vision being the ability to slow down high-speed movement. Combining this with FTG is kind of crazy in that you're just going to be able to go around the battlefield seeing your opponent's next vivid moves if kunai are set up, which Itachi does use kunai.
Also, I want to interject and say that, like, if you guys think that Minato was the clear speed superior, which I do think he is, I think...
One thing I don't think establish is, do each of them know the move set that they're getting? Like... in the scenario, does Itachi not know about Susanoo, Amaterasu, and Tsukiyomi? Does he not know about these things? Or it's, oh, I have your moveset, you have mine, let's fight. Because the thing about Minato's strategy, I think it's terrible, number one. The whole kunai thing, I think it's terrible. I think any competent fighter would distance themselves from a ring of fucking kunai all around the battle. I think any fighter would do that. But hey, you know, that's just me. Let's say he throws 50. You just go to the... I don't know. Listen, I don't know. Let me see what we're talking about, though. When Kurama... chakra and object. Chakra and object. He can also seal people. Oh, okay. So you're saying the sealing jutsu he uses... the sealing jutsus he uses are for chakra and people, as well as objects. Okay. When Kurama fires a beach bomb in the village, Minato teleports it away with a sealing jutsu. Jiraiya seals... he teleports away with a sealing jutsu? That's not Flying Thunder God? He's not using Flying Thunder God? I always thought it was Flying Thunder God he was using. Jiraiya seals the Amaterasu in a scroll. It's basically a barrier or container. Barrier or container, got you. I think it's like shackles and lock of chakra that restrains chakra objects or people. Okay. All good. No typos, you good. Fluid intelligence versus crystallized intelligence. Right. I don't care what anyone says. The narrative specifically calls Minato an unparalleled prodigy. Not just a prodigy. Everyone in Naruto is prodigy. Yeah. Pretty much. Who do y'all think has it over the other? Oh. Fluid versus crystallized. I don't know the definitions of those. I can't even pick. I think Minato Zero dissed Itachi. I'm thinking Minato has better fluid intelligence, and Itachi has better crystallized intelligence. Okay. Fellas really gotta stop saying whenever instead of when. Holy shit, bruh. For real. Kishimoto needs more imagination for those. I may be wrong if you check his YouTube list on his spot for a while. Okay. Yeah, I always thought he was using flying Raijin to teleport it. If it is a seal, that's interesting to me.
Itachi having the FTG can bridge this, and we can see this in gaps like Tobirama being able to bridge speed gaps between him and Madara just due to the FTG and its nature. So I think this can help that physical disparity if you think there is one.
Yeah, and you definitely have combinations with Itachi because Itachi as a character or as a fighter is very prone to using clones to feint in attacks, whether this be through exploding shadow clones or clone crows. Imagine what he could perform with FTG as we see with Minato in the war arc. Shadow clones can use Flying Thunder God. Itachi would be able to incorporate crazy strategies such as having a exploding shadow clone teleport to the opponent or be able to teleport around the battlefield, or having crow clones teleport while also throwing a kunai and creating more clones. It kind of gets kind of crazy when you consider that, or have Itachi's Genjutsu, which he combines with his Shuriken play, all being marked kunai in this case. It can kind of get pretty ridiculous. This is also relevant to Itachi's win condition since you have a crow feint into a placed mark. I am of the opinion
the most dangerous thing about Itachi having the Flying Thunder God is his Shuriken Jutsu. Because with his Shuriken Jutsu, he can pretty much assure that a kunai will hit you or get very close to your vicinity. Then he can automatically teleport to that kunai. That's the most dangerous thing about Itachi having this. Everything they just said, I don't know if I agree with any of it. They were talking about if the clones use Flying Raijin and then throw kunai and then make more clones to use Flying Raijin and then using that also with Genjutsu and stuff. I'm like, all right, that's too much. No one in Naruto fights like that. Not because they can't, not because they don't have the tools to. They literally can't. They can't do all that stuff. If you're making a clone that's using Flying Raiji, they're not also going to be using 15 different other jutsus, attacks, or anything like that. That's not how it works. You didn't see Tobirama's clones, even though they had unlimited chakra, right? Firing off huge-ass water-style jutsus or anything like that. That's just my opinion, though.
If Itachi places a mark on Minato, he just wins. Data Book 2 regards the FTG mark as a mark of death. Having his clones use the Flying Thunder God technique will be extremely pivotal in getting his win condition across and getting over Minato's higher abilities, in this case that being the Mangekyo Sharingan. And we obviously have other win cons such as using Flying Thunder God to put Minato into a Genjutsu. I do think Itachi, since somebody's probably going to bring up his stamina reserves, would have no issues in using the Flying Thunder God technique, since in Minato's case he was able to use 9 of them, plus other jutsus such as Rasengan, Shunshin, Guiding Thunder in his fight against Obito, coupled with the fact that he was suppressing the Nine Tails from childbirth for Kushina, which can range for hours on end if you use IRL metrics. So when you look at it grand scheme, it makes a lot of sense that FTG wouldn't be this super chakra draining technique, and Itachi is kind of an underrated stamina juggernaut in that he was able to out-stamina Heavy Sasuke, who was able to out-stamina other Akatsuki members, and Itachi's not going to just be killing himself over using MS techniques, which have huge chakra drains. So there is a lot he can do, but pretty much FTG is just going to be set up with further clones to make it so Itachi's just going to be able to get around large-scale attacks, overwhelming raw power, and create some sort of win con. I'm talking about Itachi for a minute. What do you think about Minato and how Itachi might react to some of the things Minato does?
Right. No, okay, so look, this is the best way I can analogize the situation. If you guys have ever played a Call of Duty game, right? You're in the campaign and there's an enemy who's in like a bunker that has a little window and has a big turret, right? Itachi is basically the dude on the battlefield that has to make it into the bunker without dying against this awful offensive terror, okay? So it's kind of like Minato, bro, look, okay. So he's got like, body flicker into Tsukiyomi, right? Which could still probably bypass Itachi's.
Whoever has the crow wins by default source. I am a crow. That's hilarious. Flying Thunder God is canonically a very chakra-intensive jutsu. I just can't see Itachi using Flying Thunder God effectively at all. They're forgetting Itachi is very shallow chakra pool. I mean, honestly, they did bring up a point that I always held true, but I've never had to actually argue anything for Naruto. But no, Itachi's stamina pool is pretty decent because he was able to not only outlast Sasuke's regular chakra pool, we also outlasted Sasuke's curse mark, and then even the power that Sasuke had within Orochimaru that Orochimaru came out and fought. Itachi outlasted all that shit. So as bad as his stamina is, it's pretty good. He outlasted, Sasuke's regular chakra pool, curse mark chakra pool, which is 10 times more chakra apparently, and then Orochimaru. He beat him too. So honestly, his chakra pools be pretty good. I still think it's nowhere near Minato's. Minato's was able to pull out half of the Nine Tails chakra, and apparently pulling out chakra in Naruto it's a tug of war, and you can't pull out more than I think you can't pull out more than you have available or some bullshit like that. But yeah, it shouldn't be anywhere close to Minato's chakra levels or pull. Yeah. No. This vid is so unserious. How are they trying to compare Minato's chakra pool? Yeah.
Base Sharingan, okay? So he's going to be blitzing around, hitting up Genjutsu, and he should have even crazier reactions due to the MS basically like amplifying at least his perception ability, meaning that like, for example, if he can allocate more chakra to Body Flicker than normal, maybe use a Sage Mode or something, which he does still have, then he's going to be able to react to even higher level speeds and possibly have a similar level of precog that Itachi did. But now, he now has like Body Flicker with the Susanoo. Okay, I don't really know how to put this any other way. The ultimate defense, right? So he's basically like a big walking tank. And by the way, TG mentioned that it's pretty intrinsic for how to actually use these abilities. And we can look at multiple different Uchihas, whether it be Itachi, Sasuke, Madara, or some others. We know that they actually can just leave the Susanoo. So, so Minato can kind of be baiting out of the Susanoo and then just be spraying Amaterasu. Now, look, he probably won't be able to use the Amaterasu as much as Itachi did, something TG just alluded to, but Itachi uses 2 against Sasuke. So if we cut it in half for Minato, he should still have 1. And you're like, 1? That sucks. But no, the one we're talking about is a big like spray attack. You know what I mean? So he's literally like holding down the trigger and just turning his whole head and firing the Amaterasu off the building at Sasuke. And so now Minato can do this while in the Susanoo. Bro, he's kind of like a big walking turret, and it's more so like, what is Itachi going to do to get around it? Like, a cool strategy I'm kind of picturing in my head is like, so Itachi sends out like a crow clone. It explodes, kind of baits Minato a little bit, and then turns out one of the crows was marked, and then Itachi like spawns there or something. Now, this is presuming he doesn't get blitzed with the Amaterasu, right? Because the Amaterasu, look,
Okay,
it's a problem, cool. It's a serious.
Cool. A lot of theoretical stuff. They are kind of dragging on though. I don't know if this needs to be 24 minutes. I don't know if this needs to be 24 minutes. It's kind of dragging on for me though. Cool topic though. I fuck with the topic. That's not how Amaterasu works. The Sasuke that Itachi outlasted wasn't really known for his efficiency. He created a whole jutsu to use on low chakra because he knows it blows through his tank quickly. I'll give you that. I guess the Kiden setup was kind of an intentional thing. Kind of. I'll give you that though. Okay, that was one video. Boy, oh boy. What else do we have? Was that it? I already read that one. Anything in general? Alright. See, I don't have anyone here that wanted me to watch a specific video. That video was mid, not gonna lie. Yeah. It was dragging for me, bro. I'm not gonna. Them niggas was put me to sleep a little bit. I'm like, all right, what do we? Come on, please. All right, hold up. 8989. All right. Coolio. Was there anything else? Oh no, Shinigami sent me some stuff. That's right. Let me see. I kind of want to save your drawing, Shinigami, for more people, to be honest, bro. Shibai versus the Soul King. We can do that. That's TikTok. I don't care about tech, though. Like, at all. Worst movie shonen. Yeah, we'll get to that. I want to watch that one with more people, though. Okay. All right, Shinigami. We're going to go with King Bullet's video on Soul King versus Shibai.
You're different.
Who would win in a fight between the Otsutsuki god Shibai and the Soul King? This video is a Naruto / Boruto versus Bleach power scaling video, so I already know that there's going to be a lot of heat and
I'm glad he made this only 15 minutes. Discord DMs you sent. Okay, you sent a video? I bet. We can watch it after this one. I got you, bro. I'm going to check it.
stigma around this because of how much the fandoms dislike each other due to their long-running rivalry that transcends anime. But please try to consider all of the arguments with an open mind before you dislike the video. This is genuinely one of those close matchups, depending on how you interpret things. Both Shibai and the Soul King are the supreme beings of their respective verses, and it's implied that nobody can really compete with them. I'll get more into that a little bit later. This versus battle will
I don't know that. See, his... I feel like we want Shibai to be the supreme being of his respective verse. I think that's what we want. There's nothing to me that I've seen that would make that the case, though. Shibai used to be a regular Otsutsuki, which means the cosmology and the cosmogony predate him. It predates him. He existed in a world. Right? Not the same for the Soul King. The primeval waters aren't the same as the universal structure that is where, you know, we exist in. 3D, 4D, whatever you want to call it. Not the same thing. So I don't like that initial assertion, oh, they're both the respective things. They're not. No, Soul King did what he did. Feats and statements for it. Shibai, mystery. For now, at least.
consider both of them at the absolute peaks of power to determine who is truly the strongest. We've never seen both characters fight anybody per se. We only have lore and logic scaling implications with no solid confirmation. The Prime Soul King I'm talking about isn't trapped in a crystal and has all of his limbs and organs attached, granting him the almighty, miracle, compulsory, and maybe the visionary. Whereas a Prime Shibai is harder to pinpoint depending on what abilities you think he has, which includes things like the Omnipotence, Sharingan, and Demon's Reflection. Before I explain any of this, don't forget to subscribe and like the video to help me reach 15,000 subscribers so I can finally drop that special long awaited video that I've been planning. I'll reveal exactly what that topic is after the video, so please watch until the end if you want to know what it is. And without further ado, let's get into this. Shibai was an Otsutsuki who over thousands of years ate many chakra fruits and repeatedly resurrected himself using the karma. As he continued to evolve, he eventually reached godhood status, which granted him new divine abilities called Shinjutsu. This included some strong abilities like the Reflection, which subconsciously reflects any harmful intent back onto the potential attacker as long as Shibai is making physical contact with another living person. A dojutsu called the Senrigan, which gives Shibai the ability to see anywhere in the world, from the beginning of his life up until the present, such as witnessing Ishiki's death and what was going back on Earth, or from Kara's hideout dimension. However, Shibai's strongest shinjutsu is called the Omnipotence, and it gives Shibai the ability to turn his wishes into reality, as broken as that sounds. It's said to have once been used by an Otsutsuki god to create the current world, which could mean a lot of things. Although it may just mean that Shibai created Earth, it's likely in the context here that the word world means reality or the universe. I say that because Momoshiki describes the Omnipotence as a coding language, so it's not necessarily a physical creation feat. It's been used by weaker characters like Ada to manipulate people's feelings, emotions, and memories across different dimensions. Ada mainly did this with the use of the interconnected nature of chakra. However, it's possible for it to work in many various ways. This is just one application of it. So realistically, it's a reality warping ability that can shape reality and could have even created the universe, although this is a little bit questionable.
I really don't like when they call Ada's ability reality warping. Nothing about her ability is reality warping. Nothing. It's all mind manipulation. That's literally all it is. That's literally all it is. And it didn't even work on everybody. Ain't that the sick part? All-powerful omnipotence didn't even work on some kids. Don't care the reason. It didn't work, right? That's number one. Number two, with this whole Senreigan, I can see everything up until my death and stuff like that. I'm sorry, everything up until when I was born and stuff. I think that's cool, good ability and all that other stuff. I want to see if he's going to touch on how that interacts with the Almighty. Because while they can only see the present and the past, the Almighty peers into every possible future. And Yuha couldn't see the Soul King's hand coming, which gives the Soul King resistance to all that type of spying, viewing, monitor. It gives him resistance to all that shit. So I want to see how he kind of wants to. I want to see if he incorporates any of that stuff. But yeah, let me see. Where we at? Making the thumbnail for my video. Oh, Shinigami's making a video. Let's go. One Smart says Shibai wins. Not surprised. Shibai is featless. That's a fact. This is the dark side versus the inner situation. How much passive Reiatsu does Soul King has as a linchpin? Like, can the average captain even damage him? That's a good question, because we understand that Ukitake was able to sustain the world for a little bit off of his spirit energy. So, but then again, Ukitake was like, quote unquote, has the most spiritual pressure out of any captain present that would have been there if he hadn't died. That's at least that's what Minato says, but how faithful is she as a narrator, right? Could they injure him? I'm working on a video about that stuff. It's twofold. It's like likely, I would say probably not. Because I'm looking at them trying to injure Yuha, and most of them can't manage to do that. If you mean like if he's just sitting there and can they hurt him, maybe. It's still a big maybe. Mind you, the Soul King's appendages are running around causing hell. The heart, the arms, all we're missing is the legs, right? But they're running around causing hell. The miracle gets to a point where Byakuya's Bankai can't hurt him. At least, Byakuya's Shikai can't hurt him. Toshiro's ice barely slows him down. And all these other factors. So it's like a maybe. I don't believe so, though. Because in one body, all that power would coalesce. So probably not, bro.
And in fairness, I'm just going to lean towards that not being the case, because this would mean that Shibai is not only just a few thousand years old like Amato is suggesting, but rather billions of years old. But of course, Amato doesn't know everything, so he could just be wrong. And this would also indicate that Shibai was harvesting chakra fruits in an older universe, which I guess is possible. Also, keep in mind, technically, it was never said that Shibai specifically created the world, rather than an Otsutsuki god using omnipotence did. So we will have to lowball Shibai here. After reaching godhood, yes, after reaching godhood, Shibai found a way to go past even that level and ascend to a...
At least he's being genuine with that part. I've seen Boruto fans say, oh, it said an Otsutsuki god they were talking about Shibai, so they can only be talking about Shibai here. That's not what the fuck that means. Otsutsuki God can be anyone before Shibai. It doesn't say Shibai. And then it even it muddies the waters by saying could have did this. It doesn't say they did this. It says they could have created a world doing this. So all of it's not inconsequential. All of it is circumstantial at best.
Higher level of existence, so beyond godhood. Amado describes a dimension that he accesses as a kojigen, which means a high mathematical dimension in Japanese, which might explain why a physicist like Amado is slightly more qualified to talk about this topic. Our own dimension has 3 spatial dimensions, however a kojigen or higher mathematical dimension has more than 3, which means that Shibai is thought to be a being that exists on a level that's at least 4th dimensional bare minimum. Even though this is just Amado's theory, Momoshiki, who claims to be an expert on the topic, also verifies this, giving it even more validity. To a sense, Shibai had to leave his physical body back in the 3rd dimension, hence Amado somehow gained access to it to splice his godly DNA and give the cyborgs that he created his shinjutsu. So it may actually be the case that Shibai left his shinjutsu with his physical body. I can't confirm if he had omnipotence while being a higher dimensional being. Some people might be wondering, if he truly became a higher dimensional being, then why would he even leave his physical body in the first place instead of integrating that physical body with the higher dimension? To answer that, I don't really know for sure, but does it really matter? Since higher dimensions work differently from series to series. In Boruto's case, a higher dimension is a realm associated with higher consciousness, which is why the gods are depicted as these overwhelming, trippy beings. Boruto's artist Ikimoto was most likely inspired by the art of hippie Alex Gray, who creates these similar hallucinogenic beings when he's probably high. In his own words, Alex Gray is best known for his depictions of multi-dimensional, atomical X-ray bodies of psychic and spiritual forces. Now, this is no coincidence considering that we know about Kishimoto's cancelled series Samurai 8, in which the god Fudomio left the physical world to transcend time and space. And if space is 3D, then it's possible that he could be 4D himself. In the same way, Shibai's law is also heavily inspired by the spiritual side of Buddhism. In fact, Shibai's ascension to the higher dimension in Boruto is very similar to the Buddha's enlightenment to reach nirvana, which the Buddha achieved by releasing himself from a cycle of rebirth, also known as samsara, which you may have heard before. It's a concept already established in Naruto when talking about dojutsu like the Rinnegan. So Shibai leaving his body is meant to be him leaving his physical possessions behind to prove that he's at peace with his spirit and mind and no longer has to reincarnate through his karma, which is also inspired by another Buddhist concept. Now, how fast is Shibai? Well, speed is determined by the equation speed equals distance divided by time. Distance is a measurement of any of the first 3 spatial dimensions, like length, width, or depth. Since the 4th dimension has an extra spatial dimension, this formula can't work to determine speed. In other words, it requires something else. This is technically classified as, I believe, infinite speed, which is movement beyond linear distance. This is why speed cannot be measured, given that speed equals distance divided by time. If distance is undefined, then the speed formula just can't be applied. Now, to slightly debunk Shibai here, on stuff I see very commonly, people claiming that he's 5D or higher because he ascended beyond the normal universe, which is 4D. For some reason, people think that time is the 4th dimension, but that's not how it works. A dimension is a measurement, plus time, which granted is a dimension, but not a spatial measurement. It's a temporal measurement. So the universe is 3 spatial dimensions plus 1 temporal dimension. If this is tricky to grasp, imagine a drawing. Drawings.
I'm Paul Baum, CEO at Planet ROI. We take pride in providing excellent service in refurbishing and reselling retired tech.
Drawings are 2D. Cartoons are also 2D, however, they have time flowing.
Hold up. What up, Trip? How did the exam go, Percy? Hey, yo, Red, the exam is actually this week, bro. This week's Saturday, actually. So I'm taking it Saturday. I think it's at 9:30. So, but I'm ready, bro. I'm ready for it. I appreciate you for asking. I sent you the script. Look over on screen. We will see. It's mainly a video night tonight, Shinigami. We'll see. Because I think you said you sent me a video. Zach sent me a video, and I have to watch. Well, we'll see if I have time for eons. I might do that another day. We'll see. Not gonna lie, Damon is a recalcitrant little dwarf. Damon from Friday. After next got way more aura. Guess Hashirama is omnipotent because his title was the God of Shinobi. Hashirama was the God of Shinobi. He created the Shinobi world. World also means universe. Hashirama universal confirmed. Facts. Okay, points for this stuff about Samsara and Alex Gray. This is on point. And now we're back to brain rot territory. Yeah, I enjoyed that as far as like the sources of where he's getting all this stuff from and stuff like that. I have no problem with that. Cause like when I'm going to be doing a series, probably like maybe like a mini series. What I'm going to be doing is breaking down the metaphysics of some anime, right? I'm already working on it for Bleach. There's a lot in Bleach. I've already started for One Piece. There's a lot in One Piece. But for Naruto, I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper. And this is just primarily because the Buddhist / Hindu, whatever culture, it didn't pull me in. It didn't pull me in like how when I was doing the research for One Piece, I saw a lot of things that I was like, okay, no, we can talk about that. Because I know what that means, and we can talk about that too. Okay, yeah, you got Giant Jack, Beanstalk Jacob. We can talk about all that stuff. And the same thing with Bleach. Like, I swear to God, guys, Kubo has to either be a 33rd degree Mason or an initiate. The shit that Kubo puts in Bleach, he has to either be a member of a lodge or an initiate. Has to be one of the two, and I will not accept any other answer. Because Bleach is jam-packed with Masonic esotericism, biblical esotericism, historical esotericism, and exoterrorism. It's littered with both. So that's going to be fun to talk about. And there's so much to talk. It's going to be fun to talk about. Don't know if I'm going to make a whole new channel for that, though, or if I'm going to cover that stuff here. We'll see. You better cheat like Usher did. What is wrong with you, bro? That's hilarious, though. Hashirama got that wood dragon. Samurai 8 mentioned you're going to have to catch up to Boruto to do Naruto. I'm gonna have to catch up to Boruto? Why you say that? I don't think I'll have to. Like, listen, the way I'm doing it and the way like I've been finding these things, they more so come from the stuff that I study that I can already pick out and know based off of what I've been studying, right? I'm not gonna lie, Naruto just doesn't have enough. I'm like this. Being as honest as I can, Naruto probably has the most surface level jewels to find. It's not hard to decipher anything going on in Naruto. It's literally what he did as far as the whole samsara, Buddhism, rebirth, karma. They put it in your face. It's not that deep, in my opinion. Whereas One Piece and Bleach, you better know what the fuck you're talking about. You're going to have to. You're going to have to. Like, I haven't seen any hints of... I haven't seen any hints of any initiate teaching, any Masonic Lodge teaching, any what do you call them? Any Knights Templars. I haven't seen anything in Naruto. Yeah, I haven't seen anything in Naruto. We'll see, though. I mean, hey, if you're saying I gotta read all of Boruto, we'll see. Now, I don't know what you mean by Bleach does seem very young Earth creation theory. I don't know what you mean by that. Honestly, so much misunderstanding in the Naruto community probably comes from just lacking cultural context for things and forcing a Western perspective. True. Like the novel translation calling Momoshiki an ogre. Like, nah. Technically speaking, a Kyojin can be translated to ogre, just exactly as Titan Shingeki no Kyojin can be translated to assault on ogre. I agree that Naruto isn't super deep. I personally disagree that Bleach is super deep. I think it's so vague and flowery that people trick themselves into thinking it's deep. So when we're talking about deep though, Red 2, bro, I don't know what level of information you're on. What I'm talking about, like, I'm not talking about deep from a perspective of, oh my God, the characters are so nicely written. Oh my! I'm not talking about that shit at all, bro. When I start doing the Bleach breakdowns, you're going to be like, "Oh shit, that couldn't have been an accident." You're going to be like, "Oh shit, what is Kubo studying? Ab-Stract, how do you know this shit?" Yeah, Bleach. Here's the thing. Kubo even said this. He said something to the effect of, whenever I write something, I try and make sure only like Becca.
No,
It is you.
Jessica.
Hello.
Oh, are you online?
Yeah.
Awkward.
No, it's not. It's fine.
Did you take a package of mine
No.
from outside?
No. Did you have one delivered?
Yeah, yesterday. And now it's gone.
Why didn't you get it?
Huh?
You didn't see it?
I planned on getting it this morning. And then when we went down, it wasn't there.
Why didn't you tell me?
Because I wasn't too sure what happened to it. I was on my way out. Don't worry about it.
All right. Anyways, guys, yeah. When I'm talking about deep for Bleach, I'm not talking about just the world building. I'm not talking about the characters, the plot, the story. No, I'm talking about the shit that you'd have to know what you're looking for to find it. That's what I'm talking about. It exists in One Piece in a lot of aspects. Not so much Naruto. Huh? Okay, sorry about that. You might enjoy Berserk's depiction of Kabbalistic esoterics and like the quiff off. Yeah, I like Berserk. I like Berserk. I haven't watched or read Berserk in an endeavor to uncover its mysteries, but I know I'd have fun doing that. Because there's a lot of symbolism in Berserk, and once you start understanding the symbolism and what culture of people we're talking about and where these signs and symbols come from, we can start figuring out what stories and mythologies they're pulling from to construct their stories, right? AKA the depth of an average Tom and Jerry cartoon. He wants One Piece type deep. Nah, hey, no, Shinigami, bro, no. So One Piece... Listen, Skypiea is deeper than you probably think. Skypiea is probably way deeper than you think. Not gonna lie. If you don't understand the overtones and the undertones for what was going on in Skypiea, and the names of certain things and certain people. You know that. All right. So, oh my God, I kind of just want to give y'all a little bit. But I also want to put it in a video. So yeah, we'll wait for that. Zach, no one got robbed. All right. No one got robbed, bro. I didn't say Bleach wasn't deep. I said it ain't super deep like people making it out to be. It depends on the level of deep we're talking about there. That's what I'm talking about, Red. Like, are we just talking about are we just talking about like romanticizing the story and Kubo's writing of characters, plot, and stuff like that? Or are we talking about like esotericism? Because one of the guys in the last video said esoteric genjutsu, and I was like, why the fuck would he use those two in a sentence? It's fine. We all make mistakes. I get it. But I was just like, I don't know why he would use esotericism in regards to genjutsu, but fine, whatever, do you. I'm talking about that, though, in the actual themes of the story. Because to me, that shit's deep to me. Red, you act like people claim Bleach is the most complex piece of fiction ever of all time. Past, present, and future. Shitting on me. Yo, Ab-Stract, you Christian? No. We are not Christian. We haven't been Christian since 21, bro. Haven't been Christian since 21. Shinigami, you late to the game. Bro thinks I only watched Meathead shit or something. I love Game of Thrones. Could have fooled me for real. Don't strike me as the type. Sky Pier. If I'm not licking Kubo feet somehow, I'm insulting him. Relax, dog. Bleach is mid to me. It has its moments, but it is the weakest in writing of the big three for me. It's the weakest in writing? What aspect of writing? Characters, story, development, plot. Like, what are you talking about? What aspect of writing is it the weakest? Favorite? Well, who's your favorite Game of Thrones character? Zax is Jon Snow. I would have to say probably the Hound. Yeah, Sender Clegane is probably my favorite Game of Thrones character. All right, let's get back to this.
Throughout them, the cartoon isn't now all of a sudden 3D because of that. In the same way, humans aren't 4D for being 3D, yet being able to move because there's flowing time. Being 4D means you can exist in a place as more than 3 spatial dimensions. So Shibai exists in a realm where there's at least 4 spatial dimensions, which by extension would make him 4D. But there's no proof that he's any higher than this. While he could be higher than this, I can't say for certain. The reason a 4D being can only exist in a 4D dimension is because imagine a 2D or 4D object. It can't exist in the 3rd dimension or 3rd dimensional space, since everything in our 3rd dimension is made up of atoms, which have 3 dimensions, length, width, and depth. So everything in the 4th dimension in the same way is made up of 4th dimensional building blocks. So Shibai's attacks are by default that level. But we have to lowball here. We can't say it's any higher than the 4th dimension because we just don't know. I'm not here to be generous, unfortunately. It's better to lowball than highball. Now on to Bleach's strongest character.
Rippling, the only place to run all your HR, IT, and payroll globally.
Whoa, I just got paid.
Hire and onboard employees and contractors around the world.
And supposed ruler of the Soul Society, the Soul King, the man who's said to transcend everything. Of course, that doesn't mean that he literally transcends platonic concepts and everything, including the author, so take that with a grain of salt. More reasonably, he's said to have created 3 worlds, Hugo Mundo, the Soul Society, and the material world. To be even more specific, it's stated in the novel Can't Fear Your Own World that the Soul King didn't create the worlds, but rather was indirectly responsible for the current state of the cosmology. A long time ago, there was this one original chaotic universe that had no distinction between life and death, making every living being immortal. But there was another being called the Soul King, the strongest being in existence. The 5 great noble families decided to somehow cut the Soul King up limb by limb and seal him away in a crystal. They used the Soul King's almighty power to divide the universe into 3 realms, to regulate the cycle of souls and establish a clear separation between life and death. The Almighty allowed the Soul King to see everything clearly from present into the distant future. The Soul King can see possible futures like grains of sand on a beach, and is capable of knowing his opponent's next move, picking the best and ideal timeline so that he will win every single time and has complete control over the present. Even more brokenly, he can choose to switch between different futures at any given point, even if he's dead. It was that power that seemingly allowed him to separate the universe, but how this was exactly done is unknown and never explained in the manga. In a post-credit scene in episode 16 of anime of the newest season, Ichigo is shown the Soul King's past. We see the process of a world separation initiated by the Soul King using a tool that I'm assuming is his Zanpakuto, although I could be wrong. We then see whirlpools that I can only assume to be spiritual energy spinning and being separated by him. The 3 outer whirlpools represent the 3 worlds, and the arrows going through them represent their stabilization, meaning that each realm is of equal size and its own time-space. The only issue here is that dividing the universe this way isn't necessarily the same as creating the entire universe from scratch, or even destroying it. Rather, he's manipulating spiritual energy. The visuals in the anime are also metaphorical because the whirlpools don't exactly look very big or to scale. If anything, they're around the same size as the Soul King himself, and I doubt that's the size of the universe. Unless you think the universe is the same size as the Soul King. Very confusing. However, you may actually be able to argue that the Soul King can manipulate the universe on a universal scale, therefore scales to that level. I'm not exactly against that, although that is debatable. Keep in mind that after being sealed, the Soul King became a linchpin, which means that his sole purpose was to use his power to regulate the flow of souls in and out of the Soul Society to keep a stable flow. Otherwise, the balance is lost and the world will collapse back into one. It's implied many times throughout the series that if souls aren't regulated, this secondary effect will occur. The Soul King's son Yuha later killed him, and without a regulator managing the flow of souls, the whole universe would collapse and restore itself back into its original chaotic state without death, which, like I said, is more of a secondary effect. It'd be like me killing a pilot to cause a plane crash. This doesn't all of a sudden mean that me or the pilot are plane crash level in power, but rather we're responsible for the crash via a secondary effect. However, because the Soul King separated the universe through the use of creating any possibility, in theory, he should be able to create possibilities to help him defeat Shibai. This goes hand in hand with the Soul King's other unique ability, the Miracle, which is his heart and allows him to manifest his thoughts, feelings, and desires. It's suggested that the more improbable a specific event is, the more likely it will happen. The left hand of the Soul King is a compulsory, which grants him advanced evolution that can absorb, copy, and regenerate from most things. The right hand of the Soul King is Mimihagi, which can bestow power, manipulate darkness, and stop evolution. In other words, the opposite of the left hand. The Soul King's brain is implied to be the visionary, although it's unconfirmed. If so, then it would allow the Soul King the ability to imagine and materialize most outcomes and create most physical materials. We've seen Gremmy use his power to materialize meteors. It's possible that he could materialize something like a supernova. As cool as these abilities are, could he even interact with a higher dimensional being like Shibai in order to use these abilities? Well, we know as a supreme being of the verse, he should be way stronger than the likes of Aizen back in the fake Kokora Town arc, who believed that he had evolved to the point that he is a dimension above all other Soul Reapers. Like Shibai, the term used was Jigen, which as I established earlier means mathematical dimension, even making the comparison between them like the difference between a 2 and 3-dimensional being, claiming the only way he could be interfered with is if he lowered his Ryoku down to their level. But we know that this comparison is more metaphorical than literal, because if he was a true high-dimensional being, he shouldn't be able to exist in our 3-dimensional world. As explained earlier, the normal world is entirely made of 3 spatial dimensions, and everything within it is also 3D. So anything higher can't exist within it. Something that's 4D, for example, would have to exist in its own separate 4D dimension. It'd kind of be like trying to integrate yourself into a cartoon. Of course you could draw yourself in, however that wouldn't be the real you, rather a 2-dimensional version of yourself that you created, like an avatar. Some people argue there's already 4th-dimensional shapes like tesseracts. Yeah, a tesseract in theory is 4D. However, a tesseract can't physically exist in our world. Drawings of it can exist, but not an actual real physical tesseract. Although Aizen's Ryatsu can't be felt, Soul Reapers can see him, interact, and not be crushed by his presence throughout the entire duration of a fight. Even later on, Aizen can't say Mugetsu Ichigo's Ryatsu, so believes that he has one up to his evolution and is probably 5D. However, once again, this isn't literal higher dimensional existence, because he could see Ichigo right in front of him and talk to him, in the 3rd dimension, even going on to enjoy his full power. Aizen was wondering if Ichigo is in a high dimension to him, and this is a question, so we don't actually know if it's actually the case or not. And Aizen's confliction honestly makes me question his validity and mental composure.
Well, thanks to Kubo, we do in fact know Ichigo was on a higher dimensional, whatever type of soul transcendence that Kubo was talking about. Yes, it was higher than what Aizen was on at that specific time. We do know that. That's Club Outside information. You should probably go look at that. So far, though, I like the video. My first, I don't know if you guys noticed, little abstract history. One of my first videos was actually reacting to King Bullet's Ukiyoda versus Obito video. Now, in that video, we was beefing. Not like physically or anything like that, or even online, mind you. I was very new. My beef was with him because I did not like the video. I was like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about, Obito versus the Ukiyoda? That doesn't even make sense. But, you know, come a long way since then. This video, I like this video. I like this video. I think he's presenting the information pretty fairly. I think he's doing his best not to be biased. He's even lowballing, not taking every statement as true without evidence. This is actually the shit that we need in this community. I appreciate this. I appreciate this. This is actually good. Now, but as far as the Ichigo and the Aizen thing, their thing was, their evolutions were transcending the boundary of the soul. And they both, like, kept doing it. For whatever Ichigo had, Aizen went up one. Then Ichigo showed more of his power. Aizen had to go up again. Ichigo goes to Mugetsu. I don't know.
fight a final Getsuga Tensho, which completely engulfed Aizen. Now, not only should the attack not be possible in the third dimension, but Aizen as a lower dimensional being, compared to Ichigo here, should be erased instantly, which he isn't, and manages to keep his body mostly intact. It's only afterwards he decides to regenerate and merge with his sword to allegedly reach Ichigo's level, so this shouldn't be taken too seriously. The importance of Aizen's line is mainly to hype up and exaggerate the level gaps and evolutions between characters. So Aizen isn't realistically a high-dimensional being, however he demonstrates the power to surpass even reason, destroying the Kototsu, a being that governs time and space. Of course, managing something doesn't mean that you're above it. For example, if you're a store manager, that doesn't mean you can blow up the store, but you can control aspects of how it functions.
See, that analogy is kind of terrible. We're completely ignoring the fact that Kotetsu has to interact with the thousands and thousands of layers of time that is the restrictive current and is unaffected by that time. If you put that manager in a similar situation, similar to Kotetsu, then sure, give the analogy. But you're just saying, oh, I'm the manager, I manage the store. Kotetsu manages, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. Being a fucking janitor for God will scale you above anything that's not a janitor for God. Yeah. What did you lose? What did you lose?
That's okay.
What was it?
It's nothing expensive. It's my chalk.
You're eating chalk? Oh. I don't know. Why'd you buy it? Okay, yeah. I don't feel bad for you. It's just eating chalk. She eats chalk, guys.
You can't say that a lot.
Nah, I'm gonna be done in like 20 minutes, though. Are you tired? You're tired. Are you gonna eat? Are you gonna shower? Okay.
So in context, the Koyotsu is a being that manages time and space by cleaning up the down guy's mess, like a street sweeper. It should be noted that time and space, contrary to belief, isn't 4D. Many people argue that there's 3 dimensions of space and an extra dimension of time. You heard me say this before. Nonetheless, time is not a spatial dimension, it's a temporal one. To simplify this, if a manga is 2-dimensional and is adapted into an anime, which now has time flowing through it, frame by frame, is it 3-dimensional? The answer is no. Otherwise, you and I could enter a fictional anime, which, as I explained earlier, isn't possible. This means I'm not really convinced that Aizen or the Soul King are truly higher dimensional, like Shibai is, who doesn't have many contradictions at all, mainly because we just haven't heard a lot about Shibai, so maybe contradictions will reveal themselves in the future.
Let me go back, I gotta hear
is
that
the Soul
again.
King able to use Almighty to somehow choose a 3-dimensional? The context, the
Not you,
Koyotsu
lady.
is a being that manages time and space by cleaning. That doesn't mean you can blow up the store, but you can control aspects of how it functions. So in context, the Koyotsu is a being that manages time and space by cleaning up the down guy's mess, like a street sweeper. It should be noted that time and space, contrary to belief, isn't 4D. Many people argue that there's 3 dimensions.
Alright, he said time and space isn't 4D. So what happens when the representation of time is made manifest and you're actually interacting with that substance on a daily basis? What happens then? What happens then? Because that's what Kotetsu's doing, and then that's what Aizen destroyed.
Of space and extra dimension of time. You heard me say this before. Nonetheless, time is not a spatial dimension. It's a temporal one. To simplify this,
Time is not a spatial dimension, it's a temporal one. I think in the context of why are you hiding? You're hiding. What do you think about time being a temporal thing versus a physical dimension? What do you think about that?
I believe time is a construct that we have standardized.
Time is a construct that we've standardized.
Yes, that's why we live in different time zones based on our geographical location. That's why Ethiopia has a different calendar that's several years behind. I don't think it's a separate realm. I think it's just a construct.
Interesting. Shinigami says hi.
Hi, Shinigami.
If a manga is two-dimensional and is adapted into an anime, which now has time flowing through it, frame by frame, is it three-dimensional? The answer is no. Otherwise, you and I could enter a fictional anime, which, as I explained earlier, isn't possible. This means I'm not really convinced that Aizen or the Soul King are truly higher dimensional, like Shibai is.
Becca Karibo said hi, and Zach said, what's up?
Who's Karibo?
Karibo.
Hi, Karibo.
How do I describe Karibo?
Hi, what was the other person?
Zach, aka Mugetsu.
Hi, Mugetsu, Zach.
Who doesn't have money contradictions at all, mainly because we just haven't heard a lot about Shibai, so maybe contradictions will reveal themselves in the future. Regardless, is the Soul King able to use the Almighty to somehow choose a possibility that would allow him to mess with Shibai, even if they are a dimension apart? Well, the thing is, right, if the Soul King is universe level, or even low multiversal being generous, assuming that each realm is the size of our universe, he's still a 3D being. Any outcome that the Soul King would pick with the Almighty or any other ability would prove ineffective, unfortunately. At the end of the day, it's all 3D. The difference between Shibai and the Soul King is like the difference between a fictional character from a book and its reader. So no matter what is written in the story, even if the outcomes are infinite, it's ultimately just fiction to the reader and can't physically touch them. The Soul King.
Today I'm going to make a beat. We're going to Output's new plugin co-producer, play your beat.
Soul King basically has the ability to change pages in the book and decide the outcome. However, a line can't jump out a page and attack the reader. However, the reader can burn, rip and destroy the page. Obviously, some things are subject to change. There might be evidence in the future to suggest that Shibai isn't truly high dimensional, but I can only base things off what I know already currently, so keep that in mind. We don't really know exactly if Shibai retains his omnipotence abilities. If he does, that would make him even more broken.
And the other thing is too, like, I think we're giving him, for not having any feats, don't get me wrong, I like the way this video was done. Like I said, very well presented. I think he was not biased in this. When you transcend to the fourth dimension, the idea is, okay, you're now above anything that is, I guess, third dimensional. But how do we know? How do we know that exactly? Right? That's my question. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really, like I said, I don't really get into dimensionality scaling. I think it really gets a little boring for me after we get outside of like maybe like star level planetary. It gets a little boring for me after that. Not my favorite thing. I opened the yeah. Oh God, it's heavy. It's cold too. Ugh. There you go.
Throw these away?
Yeah, we can throw them away. Yeah, as someone who doesn't really get into the dimensionality scaling, maybe one of y'all can explain to me how exactly, when you're in the fourth dimension, do you now have command over everything that is 3D? Do us 3D beings have control over everything that is 2D? Do we? I don't think we do, just because we're 3D. I think we can manipulate 2D things easier. To say we have 100% control over them is a folly. To say that a 2D being, it would be impossible for them to interact with us is also not true. That's also not true. If they could, I'm saying, if they had sentience, they could definitely interact with us. They could definitely communicate with us. It's not like they're a whole world apart. Our perspectives would be different. Not too much else would be different, though. They'd be limited to some degree in how they could move and maneuver, but then that would come with their own abilities and powers. Like, let's say, like everything, let's take this wall, right? if we take this wall and there's there's a shadow man. There's a shadow man. He's a 2D figure. And he's only limited to the wall. But then the shadow man gets more powerful. And then he can not just be limited to the wall, he can be limited to the 2D table, the 2D floor, and start doing things. Shadow Man gets so damn powerful, he can start having an actual impact on 3D things as a 2D being. Very plausible. Why are we assuming that just because you lie in a higher dimension, quote unquote, you're now inaccessible to anything of the lower dimension? I don't believe that. Doesn't really make sense to me. Not really a fan of that logic or thinking. But hey, like I said, this is just my thoughts. I'm not really a person that scales that type of way anyway. All right. Let me go back. Imagine they would really find out using Aizen's high dimensional statement. Wait, imagine how they would react when they find out I am not using Aizen's higher dimensional statement. That'd be interesting. Gravity can bend time just as it does states. I think you mean space. Bro, I really have to give a lecture on particle physics this weekend because Naruto fans are allergic to science. Hey, I need to be there for it too, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act like I know this shit 100%. I'll be the first to tell you I don't know this stuff. I don't do this type of stuff. I just do my best to try apply logic and reasoning as best as I can. Like the whole Shadow Man shit, that made sense to me. I don't know. Let me know if that made sense to y'all. That made sense to me. She seems nice. She is very nice. Hey, what's good, Grid? How you doing, Grid? Nice to see you, bro. Good morning from where I live. I'll tell her good morning for you, Max. Shibai is still widening the gap currently. Karibo, why would you say? You don't know that, Karibo. For all we know, Shibai is in stasis. He's sleeping. We don't know that. What's her fourth favorite Naruto character? She does not watch Naruto. She doesn't watch Bleach or Naruto. She's a One Piece fan. Isn't that crazy? Aizen literally describes the platonic concept of dimensional tearing on panel, but okay, yeah, God isn't bigger than 3D. And see, that's the thing too. Like when people try and downplay Aizen's comparative statement to what he was talking about to Aizen was just, he was speaking hypothetically. He was speaking as an example, not really like. I mean, no, Aizen chose the words he chose because they directly depict and demonstrate what he was trying to get across. Just as 2D beings can't interact with 3D beings, unless I do X, you can't really interact with me. All right. Now, Kubo's taking it a different level now because, mind you, they're already spiritual beings. So remember that video where I did the Bleach cosmology and I talked about the lowest level, the most gross plane of existence being the world of the living, and then every other world being a higher technically dimension than that based on grossness and subtlety? Yeah, the Kishi world cannot interact with the Reishi world, but the Reishi world can have an impact and interact with the Kishi world, right? So the saying is shit rolls downhill, not uphill, right? With that being said, because this was going into Aizen's power and not being able to be felt or interacted with. So they're already spiritual. They're already kanpaku. From the story perspective, it wouldn't make sense to then go to another form where you're not like a person or alive. It would just make sense to go to a deeper level of your power being more hard to either understand, comprehend, be relayed, or anything else. That's kind of what that's not what he kind of did. That's exactly what he did. He took it to a way where the actual power itself, the Reiatsu itself, transformed to a higher level, evolved past the bounds of the soul and of the Soul Reaper and the Hollow. So yeah, I'm not really a fan when people try and twist Aizen's words and try and make it something it wasn't. That's not really cool for me. Hagurama left his physical body behind and transcended into a higher dimension, just saying. Yeah, I mean, kind of. Let Hagoromo tell it. He's walking around in the past and the future as a fucking priest. Take, for example, Darkseid in his true form, creating avatars to travel to DC anywhere. Darkseid is a great example. Yeah, Darkseid is one of the people that I think he mentioned in the video. Yeah, Darkseid uses an avatar to get around. Darkseid's true presence and being exists in a whole different fucking dimension. Because he can't operate, I think. Yeah, he can't operate in the third dimension. I don't know. Or when true form falls and creates a literal black hole, that will destroy the whole multiverse. Hell no, you don't control all 3D just because you're in the fourth space. Okay, cool. Thank you, John. Because I'm like, yo, there's no way just because you're a fourth dimensional being, you now have complete control and perception over everything 3D. That wouldn't make fucking sense in our world. You'd have to convince me we have complete power over 2D things, which we fucking don't. We can't even manipulate 2D as well as we can. I know we can't. We can do we did good with pictures and drawings and stuff, but no, we can't manipulate the 2D world 100%. We can't do that. We can do something. So saying Shibai would automatically be able to stop, rebuff, and deter any of Soul King's attempts to alter the future. I don't know about that. That doesn't pan out for me because it wouldn't work in our world. If a 2D being had an ability like that, and contextualize it for yourself, if a 2D being had an ability like that, we're allowed them to see, predict, and whatever, our world, you could argue this, right? Imagine the Shadow Man on the wall was a 2D figure that had the Almighty. And the way it expressed the Almighty was literally writing everything down, right? I suppose me as the 3D figure, and this is completely unfair because I'm saying it's writing it down, so it has to express its shit in writing. So this is completely unfair anyway. But I would be able to read it, sure, because it's right here. This isn't the entire world, though. This is just one fucking wall. I don't have access to the entire world. This is assuming that being Shibai has access to the entire fourth dimension spatially. We're just talking about a fucking wall here. I don't know if we following me, though. All good. All good. Oh, I did good water. Nice. Thank you, Rekha. That's good stuff. All right. Fictional transcendence is not the same of a true 2D being and 3D being. If you are 3D, can you interact with any lower dimensions? Question mark. No, you can't. So both sides can't interact with each other. And so that's what I was going to try and get to too, actually, too. As far as, I don't know, in my head, I don't know if we could truly interact. Let's say two-dimensional beings did exist. Could we communicate? Sure. Could there be a true, genuine connection and interaction? Debatable. We really would live in two separate worlds. The destruction of the wall wouldn't be the end of the 2D world, though, because they could literally just move to another 2D surface. Just like destroying this house wouldn't be the destruction of me. I could move to another 3D surface spatially. So yeah, no, bro. I honestly, and see, this is what I do. I just kind of think through this shit, and I'm glad I have people like John combating some of this shit. So it just helps me think through it more logically and be like, well, no, that probably wouldn't work because as a 3D creature, if I were to destroy the fucking carpet, guess what? The 2D Flatlander still has the wall to go to. He can go outside and still be a 2D creature. The possibilities are literally endless for the 2D creature. So, and yeah, unless you get high enough to where you can see all this shit in a ball and you can throw away the entire ball, then you can come talk to me about some dimensional stuff. But no. Want me to send the video I watched for higher dimensional research? Is it long, bro? Pause. Pause in advance. What is the length of the video? Because we're only talking about this because we're watching your video. Like I said, I'm not really one to get into the scaling of this type of stuff anyway, so we'll see. But tell me how long, what's the length of the video? One time I used a Sharpie to prove I'm a dimension above my friend. Passed out. My friend passed out drunk on my couch and I drew a thing. I gotta stop reading your comments, Zach. You be going wild. Which, by the way, remember, chat, literally the realm where Darkseid's true form exists literally has more spatial dimensions, unlike Shibai. Got you. Shibai cells grant access to abilities Shibai had, like Hashirama cells granting access to wood style. Hashi didn't get stronger from that. You're implying that any power-up a character with Shibai cells gets, Shibai automatically scales. I'm the Shadow Man. I sneak and I creep. I'm the Shadow Man. Look at my fingers. I'm the Shadow Man. I'll eat all of your apples. I'm the Shadow Man. I'm going to plunge the world into darkness. Don't recall. It's been a while back. Imaginary access video on Darkseid. Oh, okay. I think I've seen that before, actually. Hashirama actually showed up even before then. We understood depth scale from Danzo and Yamato. Technically, everything is 3D in our world. 3D ink on 3D paper is still 3D. Anime is technically still 3D because it's photons hitting our eyes. And so yeah, and see that's it. We haven't even gotten into light. We haven't even gotten to light. Light is such a fundamental foundation for existence. We haven't even fucking talked about that. But yeah, let's finish this.
Since you could pretty much imagine any outcome, at least on a 4th dimensional level and lower. And it is somewhat implied he has some sort of ability, since when we see depictions of Otsutsuki gods, we see money eyes around them, and we know that eyes in the Naruto and Boruto verse are associated with Dojutsu granting many different abilities. Anyway, I should probably make it clear that nobody in the Naruto verse scales to Shibai as of yet. He's the pinnacle of a verse as it currently stands, so this doesn't mean that I think Naruto necessarily beats the crap out of Ichigo, for example. In fact, the Soul King and Shibai, in my opinion, are unrivaled in their respective verses. I do, however, believe that the ceiling is higher for Shibai due to the nature of the series, and the fact that there could be other Otsutsuki gods out there. Of course, there's always going to be more potential there because the Boruto series isn't finished, whereas Bleach has concluded now. Although, to be fair, the anime hasn't concluded, so there might be additional information there. Anyway, if you still disagree with the verdict, which I know a lot of people may, let me know why on Discord. I'll link my Discord down below in the comment section where you guys can join. Obviously, just hit me up and we can debate, discuss, have a conversation, whatever. It doesn't really matter, as long as I'm not busy. By the way, now I can reveal that the video I'm planning will either be Ichigo versus Naruto or the Otsutsuki versus the Stern Ritter, which I think both should be pretty exciting videos. I might even be able to cover both of them. So voice your opinion on what you'd rather see and check out these other videos. Also, don't forget...
He said the Otsutsuki versus the Stern Ritter? Who? Like the Shoot Staffel versus Kaguya, Kinshiki, Momoshiki, and Jigen? That'd be interesting, actually. That's a good... I might steal that video. No, I'm not going to do that. That would take me way too long. It took me 3 months to do... It took me 2 months to do Kakashi versus Toshiro. And niggas ain't even appreciate it. Two months, all that research, all that scaling. Niggas didn't even appreciate it. I should have just said Kakashi outscales. Nah. But no, that's a good video though. I like that. Stern Ritter versus the Otsutsuki. That's very interesting. I'm assuming he's talking about the Shoot Staffel though. Technically, oh yeah, I read that. The thing is still, a 4D being wouldn't simply leave the physical universe. Like they would just move around in more spatial dimensions we can't perceive. Also, Shibai only transcended spiritually because his physical body is dead in the real world. So why would he be 4D? LOL. When we die, we go to the 4th dimension. Shibai mathematically transcended how Roma did this spiritual. Kribo's rebuttal. Not mad at it. All right, before I get out of here, guys. So yeah, last things last. Test is this weekend. Like I said, after this, guys, we should get back on a more conducive schedule for either putting out more content or going live more. Either one. That's number one. Number two, I'm working on my current video I'm working on is the Bleach power system. I'm going to go really in depth on the Bleach power system as it relates to Reiatsu, Reidoku, durability, spiritual fluctuation, spiritually aware humans versus spiritually aware spirits, or just spiritual beings, I guess, right? How different factors impact different factions, because you have your Fullbringers versus your Quincy versus your Shinigami, so all that stuff. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty long video. I'm not gonna lie, this video, it's gonna be a yap session. I'm not gonna lie, I don't expect it to do well because people don't have attention spans, but it's gonna be a yap video. But I also feel like a video like this is kind of needed. It's kind of needed because I've been seeing a lot of things and I'm like, that's not right. That's not true. Well, this part was right, but you got this wrong. You might have missed this here. I don't know how you did, but So yeah, this video is going to serve as a video for kind of older Bleach fans and Power Scalers, and for newer Bleach fans and Power Scalers. This should give a grounded, this should give a, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, this should give a grounded perspective and disposition on just how important certain aspects of the Bleach power system are and how they work. That's the goal of it, at least. That is the goal of it. All right. Shibai mathematically transcended. Ab-Stract. I put context with the video. Okay, I got you, Zach. Otsutsuki after asking made chakra and neurotoxic. Yo, so like Max, bro. That's the first thing I'm thinking of. Like, okay, cool. Someone's going to do a chakra attack on Askin, and then he just wins the fight after that. Because they're not one-shotting anyone in the Stern Ritter, especially Askin. And then Askin only needs about 30 seconds to a minute to gain immunity, and then start turning your most valuable asset into your death. Literally, death dealing. It's crazy how Bullet admitted Aizen uses the same kanji as Shibai, yet makes excuses. That's crazy. That is crazy. Shibai did not transcend to the spiritual, as I already explained why Shibai transcended spiritually. If he physically transcended, then his physical body wouldn't be in the real world. Wait, so you're saying he didn't transcend spiritually? Long time no see. All right. So a Neo Animatrix. So YouTube does this thing where I don't know whose username this is. But if I had to guess, this is Chaos Eggs. Oh yes, my name is still Chaos Eggs. You just see my name. Okay, yes. Because your profile looked familiar. So I was just about to say, if I had to guess, this was Chaos Egg Spirit of the Wrath. Hey, nice to see you, bro. How you doing? Yeah, we were just watching some videos. I'm about to wrap it up now, though. I was just kind of ending on what we can expect for the next video that I drop. Because I want to do more videos come 2026. I want to do a lot more videos come 2026. But like I told you guys before, more videos ultimately means less lives. The more videos I do, the less lives I'll have to do. So we'll have to pick one. And I don't know if I'm going to start a new channel. I might start a new channel for the metaphysics of Bleach or the metaphysics of anime in general. Because like I said, I definitely want to cover One Piece, but I really want to cover Bleach. I'll look into Naruto again to see if there's anything I missed on the esoteric tip. But like I said, most of Naruto's themes and where they get, it's very in your face. It's not anything At least I didn't find anything too compelling to want to talk about. Like, here's the thing: if the people in a Naruto on Twitter can make Naruto threads and break down, oh my gosh, Sasuke and Naruto are the reincarnations of these guys, and that represents samsara and their unity together, and the cycle of hatred and pain is the diva path, and the diva path has to do with this. I don't want to do it. If they can do it, I don't want to do it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't seen one person on the internet talk about the shit that I'm fitting to get into though. And maybe I'm not looking hard enough. I'm gonna look though. I'm gonna look to see if anyone's doing more than basic level break. And my fault. I don't want to call them basic. I don't want to call them basic, number one, because that's kind of condescending, number one. Number two, it sets you guys up to think that I'm going to be bringing some like, and I believe I will be, but it kind of, inflates what I'm, bringing to the table. So I don't want to say basic. I'll just say in the realm of what I'm talking about, I'm not seeing anyone talk about that. So if they're talking about it, I don't want to be talking about it. But if I'm the only one talking about it, then you're going to hear from me. Oh my gosh. Also our collab. Yes. Ig. Yes. Ig, bro. I want to say, what was our last thing? I'm going to have to check our DMs again, bro. It's just time. That's time, bro. Time. Just because test Saturday, this video, and then we'll either do another collab as far as lives, or the video would have to be something that I can manage in a faster time frame. God, I'm itching right here. I don't know why. Yeah, a video that I can manage in a faster time frame. Or just, lives like how we did last time. That was fun. Chakra can do a lot of things. When you check out my script abstract, need thoughts on the argument and analysis. Are you talking about the one you sent me on Twitter, or the one in our Discord, bro? Bleach is still massively stronger than Naruto, of course. Live collab on Stern Readers versus the Commandments. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to get refreshed with the whole 10 Commandments, bro. I'm gonna have to get refreshed with them. I know we got Gallon of Truth. We got Malascula. She can like pop out people's souls. We have Fairy King. What was his name? Gloxinia, which is a fire ass name. Fairy King Gloxinia. We have the giant Drove, whatever his name is. We have Derriere, Mach Speed, Zeldris, who is actually a problem. Zeldris is a problem. Estarossa, and who's the last one I'm thinking of? Who is the last one I'm thinking of? I said Galland. Who am I thinking of? Estarossa. Let me just go again. Estarossa, Zeldris, Galland, Malascula, Derriere, Mach Speed, Gloxinia, Drove. Now I have 8. I had 9, now I have 8. I'm missing 2 commandments. Derriere. Who am I missing? Oh, is it Meliodas? Meliodas was the 10th commandment, wasn't he? Yeah, I think so. He should have been. But yeah, in our Discord DMs. Okay, gotcha. I'm not gonna lie, the 10 commandments are just territorial sidekicks from Yu Yu Hakusho. If they actually had stats. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. Speaking of which, I have to like rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho. I kind of only watch the fights for the feats, but I actually have to rewatch Yu Yu Hakusho. But all right, guys, let me get out of here. I'm replacing Esterosa with Prime Millie when he was their leader. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I gotta do my homework on fucking Seven Deadly Sins again. But all right, y'all take it easy. We'll probably be live, hopefully sometime this week or next week. We'll see. We'll just see how it goes. It kind of depends because they have me working. I'm not working this week, but they have me working next week, so we'll see. But okay, yeah. Let me get out of here before I fall asleep on stream and shit.